Good afternoon, Necedah School Community. This is Tanya Kidlowski. I am here with our Facebook Live session for this week. So thank you for those of you joining us. I'm just going to wait a moment here and make sure everything is coming through okay. As some of you might know, I had a disaster at my last Facebook Live session. Apparently all of you watched me sideways, which I didn't know. So I'm trying to problem solve and make sure everything looks good, and it looks like everything's going through okay, and I am actually upright this time. So welcome to our Facebook Live session. I am always on every couple weeks to provide just some district updates to be able to stay connected with my school community and citizens in our Necedah area. So really want to make sure you have updates as quickly as I can provide them with some accurate information. We are really trying hard to communicate and provide transparency. So this is one venue of which we can do that. So thank you for joining me today. If you have comments you would like to make, I will check those before I am off the feed with you, and we'll happy to answer any questions you might have regarding some of the things that I'm sharing today. So I have a few different updates. I really am going to revisit our safety grants one more time. We did receive grant 2, so I will share with you a couple of those updates. A little bit about some finance things to bring you up to speed on some things regarding our tax levy after our annual meeting in October. And I'm going to give you a couple updates about community outreach, our Cardinal Innovation Lab, and we'll see how much time we have. If we do, we'll do some charter school updates or weather-related closing updates. So we'll see how much time we have together. I don't like to go much more than 10 minutes. So with our safety grant, we did receive grant number 2. We wrote for that, and we did receive it. There is a large emphasis on mental health. So as part of the grant out of the Department of Justice, we are required to do some training with our staff. Necedah School District was awarded as a host site, which means that the training is actually going to be in our district, which allows us to efficiently have all of our staff there. So we're excited to be a host site. Other schools are welcome to join us and be a part of our training on those couple days. The other priorities we established through our grant, we really are trying to make a very robust communication system. We know that in times of crisis, communication is really, really critical. And so we have now what we have as our Necedah Area School District internal emergency broadcast system. So as you know, if you knew some of the priorities of our first grant, we put in a messaging system throughout our school, which includes TV monitors, which is intended to help communicate to our stakeholders who are in our building. It could be evening events, or it could be during the school day, what exactly is happening, and maybe even provide additional instructions on what we need people to do or how they might need to respond. And so with those monitors, we now have the ability to communicate through them, but also now we are including staff communication through individual cell phones, which just allows us another security measure if staff need to leave the building with our students in terms of an evacuation procedure. So those staff members now have what we will be testing tomorrow as an Informacast communication system, which provides them a notification, provides them the prompt of the emergency taking place, and it has the ability for us to share additional information. So for example, if we know we had an evacuation and we know staff have left with students, we're able to tell them where to go to reunify in order to connect our students with family. Those sorts of things are possible now with the same system being used to communicate with everyone. So we are excited about what we're seeing. Tomorrow, Friday, will be the 9th, will be our first time we are testing that emergency broadcast system. So that will be the first time our staff and our whole school experiences all of these different venues of communication. We also have scheduled drills with our students. So within a short while, we will have our students also being able to experience that communication system first through what we have as our traditional monthly fire drills. So they will also be able to see what all of that messaging looks like. we're actually really excited about what we think the potential is with this new system. That same information system that's going through our TV monitors also is through every phone in our building. So on the screen of a phone, the same message is there, as well as all of our clocks also have that same scrolling message with additional red light that notifies people that there is something coming across that system. So again, we're excited about the grant money to be able to allow us to do that. Another thing that we are adding is we know that messaging and communication is important. We are buying a very large messaging board for outside at our recess area. We know that when our children are out at recess, our staff have a more difficult time hearing what's going on. So we're really excited about having a big monitor there that will also relay the same messages to our children and staff who are outside. So very excited about that too. I think is just another added measurement to make sure communication is as robust as possible. The last thing that we have through the second grant is two things actually, is a cell phone repeater. We're trying to make sure that in terms of a crisis situation that our staff are able to use their cell phones and connect with us if we need communication back and forth, as well as reunification supplies. So as we develop this tighter reunification plan in a crisis situation, we purchase supplies to be able to do that effectively. Things like safety vests, safety cones, PA system, megaphones, things like that. The last thing that's a part of that grant with training is violent threat assessment training. And so we are also participating with that as a staff to make sure that we are aware and know what to do in terms of new state statute even with a violent threat situation. So that's our update for safety grants. Certainly, if you're on with me right now and you have questions about that, just let me know a comment and I'm happy to answer that for you. The second update I wanted to give, we did have our annual meeting in October, and the one piece that I really want to make sure our community knows, because it's important to me, that we were able to follow through with this expectation that we shared last spring when we passed our operating referendum, and that was that in those communications with community, we assured them that if we had some unrealized revenue that would come to our district that we didn't know at the time, which can happen on any given year, because all of that is done through the biennium budget. And so we did have some unrealized aid through sparsity aid. It's a categorical aid that of $70,000 that we did not know about until after we had already passed our resolution. So our board felt strongly that although that means we are under levying our authorized amount, which means the following year, that $70,000 less that will be given to us in aid. That's how the formula works. We felt it was very important to stay true to our commitments that we shared with our community and give that back to our community, which in the end is basically taxpayer savings. So we felt obligated and committed to do that, and so we did. So we under levied this year by $70,000. Our board passed that, and again, for people in our community, that relates to taxpayer savings. People have asked me about how much that is. $70,000 is approximate. This is just kind of on average about a 20-cent savings on $1,000 of value. So $20 a year, for example, for a $100,000 home gives you some idea about the savings at that amount. So the third thing I wanted to mention today is some community outreach things. We are really, as a school district, prioritizing our commitment to our community. Those of you that have come to know me know that building a strong community for our children is very important to me, and we're continuing to try to do things to model that, to show our commitments in that regard. And so we have some things posted on our website. We just completed last Friday our first community supper. And so thank you to the Dina Hatch Foundation, who was our donor who supported us to be able to have that supper with our community. We had 130 people participate. And so we were really pleased to have people join us on Friday evening for a supper together and just join together in some fellowship and learn about some things about the district while enjoying the company of friends and neighbors. So we'll be having another one. We haven't established the date yet, but certainly everyone is welcome to join us. I think it's a nice way to bring our community together around some common objectives, and that is really building a strong community for our children. So we'll have another one out there. Again, thank you to the Gina Hatch Foundation for sponsoring that supper for us. The second one of community outreach is our walking hours as we hit the winter months now, coming very quickly. People might want a place to be able to walk safely. So on the homepage of our website, people can pop on that homepage. There is a section on the bottom right that shows community walking hours and weight room hours. We have also opened our weight room to our community with some community hours after our athletic sports are completed for the day. So those hours and protocol are all listed in that document. Feel free to peruse that and join us in our building as a community resource. So we're happy to be able to offer that for community. The other thing is we are continuing our senior citizen luncheons. They happen 2 times a month here in our school, and our senior citizens are welcome to join us on those luncheon dates. Those are also posted in our community section of our website. They are basically 2 Tuesdays a month. And so we have actually a guest speaker next Tuesday, the 13th. We have a guest speaker. Nancy Thacker is joining us from the Rural Outreach Specialist of Juneau County Alzheimer's and Dementia Alliance. She's coming in to share some things with our group and going to help provide just some education and support around some topics around dementia and Alzheimer's. So we are excited to have her join us for that meal. So if you haven't joined us yet and you would like to, that is 11 o'clock next Tuesday, and you will have the pleasure of having a guest speaker and enjoying that with us. Last but not least, we have adult outreach classes that are going. We just completed another one 2 weeks ago, and we have some upcoming ones. I am actually in the process of sending out a postcard to people to help notify them. I did have somebody ask about if that's taxpayer money that's being used for newsletters and postcards, and it is not. It is grant money that we have. It is not coming out of our tax levy. So please note that it is so important for us to have a connection with our community, and the only way we can do that we know everybody gets the same communication, is through mail. So we are committed to doing that, and we will continue to do that through the use of those grant funds. Last but not least, with community outreach, I have added some just periodic, every couple weeks something comes up, and I try to update our community. On our website, there's also an area under communications, and it's called Cardinal Communication or Cardinal Community Communications Connections, and it provides several updates of different things that have come up that I've heard about that maybe people just need more information on. So if you go to that website, there are several updates that you're able to access that will provide information that might be of interest to you. So with that, we are done for today. Next session, I want to be able to provide 2 specific things. One on charter schools. There have been some really interesting developments and some really good questions. So I'd like to talk about our charter schools, which are opening next fall. And then I also would like to provide some very specific updates regarding winter weather closings. As we head into that time of year, I really want people to understand our protocol, specifically how I'm making decisions and what they would expect out of that. So I'll provide those updates at our next session in a couple weeks. So those of you on today, I'm not seeing any comments with questions, so I just want to thank you for joining us and connecting with us and engaging with us. That is the most important thing we can do together to model that sort of civic engagement for our children. So thank you for being on with us, and connect with me anytime here at the school, whether it's email, phone call, or schedule a meeting with me through my website. You can get on and do that electronically. Thanks again today, everyone, for joining me, and we'll talk to you real soon. Have a good rest of the day.